discuss a criteria that we have come up with for our presentation. The first, the solution must not cost UNCW more money than it is currently investing in the problem. The UNCW track team is one of the main sources of diversity on Wilmington's campus. One solution they have tried to implement is fundraising. The track team successfully raised enough money for UNCW Athletic Department to reconsider their decision to cut the program. Another method would be implementing volunteer programs and events to promote diversity and an open dialogue about the lack of diversity without costing the university any money.
Define diversity. Diversity is like a lot of different races, ethnicities, and sexual orientation. Alternative people. Do you see diversity as an issue at UNCW?
Yes, definitely. If we're talking about numbers, then there's just not really existent. The ratio between the majority groups and the minority groups is ridiculous, especially if you compare it to the state. I mean, obviously in America there's already issues of diversity in terms that there's not, in terms of numbers, like there's majority and minority, but if you want to compare it to UNCW, to the state, or to the country, it's fine.
And what would you propose as a solution to increase diversity at UNCW? I feel like more welcoming.
Yeah.
Like, feel like you are welcome here, because maybe there's a lot of applicants that don't feel welcome, feel like they are the minority.
Yeah. Right, honestly, if I had visited the school before and saw the, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have felt very welcome. I probably would have felt a little awkward. But it's kind of creepy. So there's like a lot of students that they apply and they get in, but then they choose not to come because they come, they hear things like UNC white or you're not going to feel included or anything like this, and they decide not to come. So probably more initiatives to make them feel welcome, more initiatives to help them.
You feel like it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
The solution must benefit the most people and inconvenience the least people. The university formed a committee to review the current practices that UNCW has been using. It consists of students, faculty, and administrators. With this committee, they generate solutions to the problem of diversity among the campus. They only meet once a month to discuss possible opportunities to diverse the campus.
Alright, so I would ask you to define diversity.
Diversity, I think it means working together with different people in a community and trying to reach a certain goal. You know, they're different from you. You set a goal, and as long as it's the same goal, you work towards it together. So you find it. I guess that's it. Oh, sorry.
Alright, can you define minority?
I'm sorry, you guys.
Okay, is there a minority-majority issue at UNCW?
I've never heard anything about a majority-minority issue, but I know that the majority is white, and the rest is African-American, Asian, you know, other people.
Do you think diversity is an issue at UNCW, or lack of thereof?
I don't think so. I mean, there are definitely more white than there are maybe African Americans and Asians and whatnot, but I don't think that there is an issue there.
Alright, so first I kind of ask you to introduce yourself and what you do here at UNCW, like your constitution and all that.
Okay, so I'm Taylor White, and I am the president of Pride, and the social media coordinator of the Feminist Student Alliance, and I am currently unsure of my sexuality. It's like, am I bi? Am I lesbian? I don't know. Like, it's kind of like so weird, like, on the bridge right now, so I don't even know what to say anymore.
And what is Pride? Can you explain to us what Pride is?
So Pride is the student organization on campus. where it's just like the LGBTQIA group on campus pretty much. It's like anybody who is outside of the realm of straight or allies who want to come and talk about queer things and activism and all that kind of thing. That's what we do in Pride.
Gotcha. Okay, so my first question for you is, do you see a lack of diversity as an issue at UNCW when it comes to lack of representation for LGBTQIA?
Oh my god, yeah. Like, I'm sure you've looked at the campus around us, and it's usually just like white straight kids. Like, that is the primary like demographic of the school, and like I guess because like we're in here a lot of the time, because like this is where I come to study and that kind of thing, and we're always surrounded by queer kids, but like you leave like the sanctuary and like it's just like, oh dear God, what is like, and so like you don't really see a lot of it. Like, number one, people don't really talk about it, and when they are talking about it, it's like kind of scary, because like if you've ever looked on Yik Yak, the way they talk about the office in general, like it's, you don't really want to talk about it because you might be in an unsafe space, even though the campus itself is relatively safe of the people that like I've come out to, and like my roommates. Last year less good, this year really good. Like, so it always depends on like your situation, how long you've known people, that kind of thing.
All right, so my second question is, why do you think UNCW could benefit if they did try to increase diversity as far as LGBTQIA?
Well, from two perspectives. So on my career perspective, like the way we could help, or the way it would help students with increasing different queer things on campus, like in whatever way that may be, like bringing more queer speakers. I don't know if that word came out right, but that's what I meant. More queer speakers, like maybe partnering with larger groups on campus, like ACE and that kind of thing, to get like queer artists, because I know George Takei was supposed to come, but like he, you know, things happened, it fell through, but like getting like queer artists, like actual physical artists or musical artists, whatever, it would just like show like a normalized perspective of it, and like it's not as like far off of like from everybody else's as like some people seem to think. And as my perspective as a woman, the WSRC, which is the Women's Resource Center on campus, currently has no space, and they're like shelved in a corner in the library, and so like, what? That doesn't seem right. So definitely getting them a space on campus, like I think
the solution must not violate any current legal obligations entered into by UNCW. Ensure that the solution does not violate any diversity clauses put in place by the university.
Sure, go ahead. You can go first.
Diversity, I'd say, is like made up of a group of people or individuals that have differences. So I just say differences.
Just a lot of different people in a group that is a good example of, you know, the whole population, not just a single group of people, I guess. Anything that's not the norm for the location you're at, so here, anybody else that's not English, I would say. And, just not the, I guess that's good.
Yeah, I'd say anything that doesn't fit the majority. I do. I grew up in DC, and there's a lot more diverse, and I think that diversity brings in a lot of different opinions, a lot of different ideas. I think that that's lost when you don't have diversity. So I definitely think that it's something that we lack.
I don't really necessarily have an opinion on the matter. I feel like we're diverse in a lot of ways, but in other ways, if you look at the statistics, obviously it's not as diverse as a lot of other colleges.
So, first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself and, you know, your name and what you do here at UNCW, just so the class knows.
My name is Todd McFadden. I am the director here of the Upper Mid African American Culture Center, campus one of 4 culture centers, essentially under the Office of Institutional Diversity and Inclusion. And I also teach an introductory course to Africana Studies.
Awesome. So my first question to you is, do you see diversity as an issue on this campus, or lack of diversity, and why?
It is. I think that there's a lack of representative diversity, I'd say, both for African American students in particular and Asian students. The numbers are kind of oddly low in that regard, and the institution, I think, is working to do a better job to recruit both of those student constituencies a little better.
Awesome. Okay, so my second question is, why do you think UNCW could benefit if they were to increase diversity?
Well, pragmatically, the diversity experience for students is one that helps them prepare for an increasingly diverse world of work out there. If you are essentially paying money, your parents are paying money, for you to come here and be trained to compete in the world of work, especially, and that world of work is increasingly diverse. If you come here and you don't have a good experience like that, a broad experience like that, then you really aren't getting what you paid for. So it's about return on investment and preparing students to be as culturally competent out in the world of work as possible.
Gotcha. All right, so my last question is, what would you suggest as the solution to increase diversity?
I think a lot of it has to do just with intentional effort. They really have to not sort of just throw things out there. They have to be well thought of in terms of how they recruit specifically for a certain group of students. What things appeal to them, what resources on campus that might appeal to different groups, and just what kind of outreach is there to reach these students where they might be, African American, Asian in particular.
All right, well, thank you so much. I think that was
The solution must not discriminate anyone based on his or her ethnic background or age. Everyone in a university should be treated the same and not given any preferential treatment based on your ethnic background or age. All the students are given the same opportunities, and there should not be more or less based on each student.
Do you see diversity as an issue on this campus, and why?
Yes, I see diversity as an issue on this campus because coming from a boarding school in Massachusetts where people were from all over the country as well as all over the world, coming to UNCW, this campus is much larger than at boarding school, but I could definitely see the lack of diversity in terms of the events and activities on campus, as well as in the classrooms.
Why do you think UNCW would benefit if they were to increase diversity?
I think UNCW would benefit if they increase diversity because when you have people with different opinions and ideas coming together to collaborate, you are able to build like a more innovative and more you're able to reach that goal and to reach everyone. And I think that when you have different stakeholders, the picture gets better.
And what would you suggest as a solution to increase diversity?
That's a good question. I think the solution to increase diversity would probably be doing more activities that are related to, and diversity meaning not only race but like different backgrounds, where you come from, and if you are disabled or not. Those are other things to put in, but also doing maybe a diversity conference and trying to involve more, if not all of UNCW, a good amount of UNCW. That could also help with outreach into the community. Yeah, that's it.
And you were telling me about that story, so I wanted to get that story about the shark.
Right. So I was in a class and they had a presentation. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, and they had a presentation called Reggae Shark, and it was supposed to be a terrific Tuesday event to motivate us for the rest of the week.
and it was actually very offensive. It was speaking about a shark that went to Jamaica to stock up on weed and go back to Brazil, get more weed, and then go to California.
Benefit the students of the university and provide different outlooks and opinions. Increasing diversity is a good way to create a more comfortable environment for all students at UNCW. Students become more well-rounded, both socially and academically, when surrounded by a diverse student body.
All those students.
Alright, I'll just have you introduce yourself, like your name and your year and what you do here at UNCW.
Cool. My name is Kobe Aqua. I am a senior here at UNCW. I am a psychology major. Yeah.
And she dances for physical graffiti.
And I did for graffiti.
She's amazing. Okay, so my first question for you is, do you see diversity as an issue on this campus, and why?
I see diversity as, well, yes, I do see diversity as an issue on this campus, but I think I see it most in people's lack of knowledge and like in consideration of other races. Like the school's predominantly white, and when I hear people, and not even necessarily just white people, but like specific groups of races speaking about each other, like there's such an overwhelming lack of knowledge. Like their conversations are so laced with stereotypes that it's very clear that they've never actually dwelled and been in an intimate relationship or intimate friendship with someone of another race. And I think that that allows that group to dehumanize the other groups. And so I think that, especially with all the stuff going on in the media, I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking to you or that, especially with all the stuff going on in the media, it's amazing how defensive people get because they don't know anything about the other group other than what the media tells them or shows them. And I think that because there's not a lot of diversity here at UNCW, there's not much opportunity for the majority to interact and dwell with the minority. And I also think that there's not much of a reason to. That sounds really weird, but I mean, when you're the majority, you're comfortable and everyone around you looks like you, why would you need to make yourself uncomfortable to get to know other people? And I think that's kind of the mindset of UNCW. I think UNCW is just culturally not diverse, but I also think structurally, it seems a lot like the Upper Urban Center and Central are the only places where I see SGA a little bit are the only places I really see people initiating anything to do with diversity. And other than that, it's like, hey, we're gonna cater to the majority because we are the majority and we're for the majority.
So my second question is, why do you think UNCW could benefit if they were to increase diversity?
That's a good question. I think UNCW would benefit because I think that students here would be more ready to be a part of like the global market. You know, like the U.S. is like, it's such a small part of like the whole world, and the world is not made up of only white people or black people or Asian people or Hispanic people. The world is very integrated, and so I think it's very important that we as people who are literally about to go and be in the world working and hopefully leading pretty soon, that we know how to interact with other races, that we know how to understand other races, and when we don't understand, we know how to approach asking, like humbling ourselves to ask, you know, the questions so that we can understand. I think it's very necessary because the reality is the world doesn't look like UNCW, and so there are a lot of specifically white students here who are prepared to walk into a very white world, and though it may be kind of ruled by white people, the world's not white, you know, and so I think that's really important that they get to understand and see other races and not just be surrounded by what they know and what makes them feel comfortable.
And my last question is, what would you suggest as a solution to increase diversity here at UNCW?
Well, I think that UNCW definitely needs to admit more minorities, ethnic minorities, racial minorities, but I think that they also need to reach out more to ethnic and racial minorities, like in high school, like programs to go out. I know Central has one, but that's like one initiated by Central. And I know the UP like gets a couple high schools to come here and like, you know, talk to black students, but we initiate that. The school doesn't initiate that. I was actually reading a report
that showed that even though UNCW is allowing more and more people in, the percentage of black people they're letting in is going down every year. And so that's like, you know, that's structural. And I think people think that racism or prejudice or discrimination is something that is like, oh yeah, it's just how I feel or how I act in social situations. But it's very much structural, and I think that the foundation of UNCW was created for the benefit of white people. And so it's really hard to let people into a structure that wasn't built for them, and I think that's why there's not a lot of minorities here.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Time to start by introducing yourself and what you do here at UNCW.
My name is Tirsa Carlos. This is my 4th year at UNCW, and I am really involved with Centro Hispano here on campus and their events that they have, as well as I will be returning to the Housing and Residence Lifestyle as an RA next year, which is pretty exciting.
Oh, cool. All right, so my first question for you is, do you see diversity or lack of diversity as an issue on this campus, and why?
I do see a lack of diversity in regards to race and ethnicity, which I do think is an issue, not so much an issue as, you know, people actually, as it causing stress or, you know, kind of like a negative dynamic amongst students, but just being able to tell other people about this university and being able to confidently say, you know, when you get here, there are people here that represent you as well, and people that you can connect with. I don't really feel that. It's very small, the amount of Latinos, African Americans, or Asians in it, everybody here on campus. I just want to be able to tell people that they'll be accurately represented and they'll have a good group of people that they can relate to, which I can't really do for UNCW.
Gotcha. All right, so my second question is, why do you think UNCW could benefit if they were to increase diversity?
I think that if there was a little bit more diversity, that would, I would say, I think it would allow it would allow for other people to benefit from different cultures that will be presented on campus. It will allow people to be exposed to other people's backgrounds and other students' cultural identities, and in turn, everybody will benefit. Everybody will get more of a worldly perspective. Nobody will be kind of shut off to their own little box. And when students graduate from UNCW, they'll be able to say, oh, you know, like I had experience, I had a friend who's from here who shared this with me, or, you know, experience things through other people versus just the same day-to-day activities that they were raised with or that they experienced growing up.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my last question is, what would you suggest as a solution to increase diversity?
I would say maybe if they had an ambassador, well, see, it's hard to answer that question because I'm not 100% aware of what they're doing now.
Well, do you think like the new chancellor and him being of Hispanic background, do you think that will have any influence on it? And we do have a new diversity chair.
We do, and our chancellor is Brazilian, correct? Maybe if they kind of went out in the community, UNCW did, and went to schools to kind of, like what Centro Hispano does is we go to the schools, or we have an organization that goes to other schools and tries to encourage pursuing our higher education.
What was that group called?
Che,
yeah, I was trying to do that.
Yeah, we are Centro Hispano Embajadores, and we go and, you know, talk to other students and try to get them excited about pursuing their higher education. And I know one thing for me, I went to school, I grew up really close to here, but I don't ever remember ambassadors from UNCW or anybody like that kind of coming and doing the same thing that we do in the Hispanic community. So instead of Hispanics trying to reach out to Hispanics, maybe UNCW should reach out to everybody else, and UNCW should could kind of go out in the community and say, hey, we got this awesome school at the beach, we have these kind of programs offered, and then that really gets other people, because I really didn't know about UNCW until I started searching for colleges, and UNCW is right down the road from where I graduated, or from where I went to high school. And so, but you always hear about you get to Chapel Hill, you hear about Elon, you hear about all these other schools, and maybe if UNCW just kind of went out and marketed themselves a little bit more throughout North Carolina or throughout the region, so that other people will be aware that there is this other school, and it won't be just focused on the same group of people each year, or the same group of people applying each year.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah.
The solution must not violate inequality.
Alright, I'm ready. Which way you wanna? You ain't gonna come down this way. We gonna come down this way. No. You want me to take the paper? Yeah. There's just like ants everywhere. Come to mama. Oh God.